Kenny Asker, stories from Reddit.
I occasionally do weekend security work at one of the swankiest hotels in my city, and sometimes big names stay there while they are in town. I won't name the celebrity, but I will just call her Amy. The one thing that really stood out to me was how every single one of her movements was planned and choreographed. Like I said, she is one of the biggest musical artists in the world right now. And she would no doubt get swarmed if she walked through a public area and people realized it was her. So shielding her from the public was the #1 priority. All of the hotel staff had a PRE shift meeting with her security team. There was some basic guidelines such as do not speak to her unless spoken to, do not let any guests know she is staying here, do not ask for a picture or an autograph, and let them take the lead. I'm sure all of the security members on her team were carrying weapons of some kind, but they were all wearing jackets and I didn't see any firearms on them. She was driven from the airport to our hotel in a SUV with blacked out windows, and she came in through the loading dock. My only job at that moment was to stand in front of a door leading to the maintenance area to ensure that nobody tried to get through. Like I said, anytime she was moving, it was highly coordinated and choreographed. Everybody had their place, and there was nobody in the area that was not part of the team. She did not look at anybody or say anything, she just sauntered in looking kind of miserable, TBH. She was brought up in the freight elevator, and there was members of her security team on every floor in front of the freight elevator to make sure nobody got on while she was still in it. She had a room on the top floor, and that entire floor, as well as the floor below it, were completely bought out by her and her team. Guests can only go to the floor that they are staying on by way of swiping their room cards. There were members of her security team posted by the elevators all night just in case somebody somehow snuck onto that floor. What I got out of the experience was being thankful that I can walk around like a normal person and nobody gives a fuck. I feel like having to be consistently hidden from you and the restrictions that come with that would be pretty miserable. I went to Air Force basic training like 6 years ago. They took away our phones on day 1, and we didn't get them back until 10 weeks later. I remember when I finally got to look at it after so long, it was like the brightest, most beautiful thing I had ever seen in my life. At technical school, we were living in a dorm-like building, and there was a WhatsApp group chat the M leaders made for everyone in the building. Its intended purpose was to dole out the chores and cleaning responsibilities. But that group chat rapidly turned into a wasteland for the weirdest, most depraved memes you've ever seen. These 18-year-old kids who just got all their phones back had absolutely no chill. My phone was pinging at all hours of the day and night as a torrent of weird memes poured into the group chat. The M leaders kept posting that memes were not allowed in the group chat, but the 18-year-old masses were unstoppable. They were equipped with a seemingly endless arsenal of fucked up memes. One day, somebody posted a meme that was a 4-panel comic of a thick Winnie the Pooh. He was wearing a thong and a bra, and he had a jar of honey stuck on his head. He was bumbling around, knocking everything in his house over with his thick ass and his huge, juicy tits as he tried to get the jar of honey off his head. Well, that turned out to be the straw that broke the camel's back. The mods of the WhatsApp group chat changed the settings so that only they could post messages. But after that, they only posted about the chores once a week, and they didn't delete any of the memes. So that thick Winnie the Pooh meme was still visible on the group chat for weeks. My Mormon friend Terry went to dinner with his wife, and she happened to see the thick Winnie the Pooh meme on his phone. She was inconsolable. She could not understand why her devout, religious husband would have such a disgusting thing on his phone. It actually turned into a big deal in their marriage. One day, he brought her to morning formation so he could prove to her that the thick Winnie the Pooh wasn't just on his phone. Me and a bunch of other M pulled out our phones and opened the WhatsApp group chat to show her that the meme was on our phones too. I'll never forget the unfathomable look on that poor little Mormon girl's face as her eyes darted frantically from one thick Winnie the Pooh to the next in the early morning light. I've been sitting on this story for years, so this all went down a few years back when I was living in this janky old building. You know, the kind of place where the walls are paper thin, the heat only works when it feels like it. Anyway, this girl, Claire, moves into the apartment across the hall from me. She was always dressed like she was heading to a bougie party, even though our building looked like it could collapse at any second. And she was quiet, too quiet, like no music, no TV sounds, nothing. Anyway, one night I'm trying to binge some Netflix and my Wi-Fi starts acting up. I'm talking full-on buffering hell. I'm annoyed AF, so I checked my router and guess what? There's this random device connected. I'm like, nah, no way, I knew it had to be Claire. So I march over to her door and knock like I'm the damn landlord. She opens up and I'm hit with this wave of lavender or something. She's standing there in this silky white robe, just smiles at me like she's been expecting me. I'm like, hey, are you using my Wi-Fi? And she tilts her head all cute and says like, oh, I'm so sorry. My internet ain't been set up yet, and I just needed to check a couple of things. I didn't think you'd notice. Y'all, the audacity. But something about her vibe threw me off. Like, she wasn't apologetic at all. She was too calm. But whatever, I was like, cool, just don't do it again. And I went back to my apartment feeling weird as hell. That's when the creepy stuff started. My laptop? It started turning on by itself at night, and one time I found a file on my desktop labeled with my name. Inside were notes about me, my schedule, stuff I ordered online, even screenshots of my emails. I was freaking out. But the absolute worst part, a few days later, I find this envelope slid under my door. Inside is a photo of Claire, in my kitchen, using my mug, my favorite mug. I stormed back to her apartment, ready to throw hands. But guess what? The door was wide open, and the place was empty. I'm talking no furniture, no Claire, nothing. It looked like no one had lived there in years. I wish I could tell you that was the end of it, but nah. Fast forward to last week. I'm chilling in my new place, far away from that haunted-ass building, and I hear this soft tapping at my window. I live on the 5th floor, okay? There's no fire escape on that side, FYI. When I look, there's nothing there, but on the sill, there's my old mug, the one Claire was using. I don't know what's going on, but I'm telling you all, Claire wasn't just stealing my Wi-Fi. Am I losing it? Aria was 16 when life demanded more from her than she could bear. As her 10th grade pre-boards loomed, she found herself drowning in a darkness that no one seemed to understand. Science and math, once subjects she could master with ease, now felt like distant, meaningless numbers. The weight of her mind, once her greatest gift, became her biggest burden. She skipped the exams, unable to force herself to sit through them. For 3 days, she cried endlessly, the kind of tears that burn your soul more than they wet your cheeks. Aria wasn't just another student, she was extraordinary. Her memory was sharper than a blade, her intelligence unmatched, her maturity far beyond her years. But life has a way of breaking even the strongest minds. Her math teacher never understood her struggles. Cold and indifferent, she dismissed Aria's silent cries as excuses. The school disregarded her retests as if her efforts meant nothing. The anxiety that already consumed her tightened its grip. Even her parents, contributors to her suffering, could not ignore the exhaustion in her eyes, the kind that made them fear she might collapse under its weight. But amidst the suffocating darkness, there was one light: her class teacher. A woman who became more than an educator, a second mother who held her hand through the storm. With her guidance, Aria found the strength to fight again, to push through the noise of her own mind. But peace is fleeting, and the cycle of despair found its way back to her. Then came the board exams. They didn't go well. Another heartbreak, another reason to cry herself to sleep. Yet, through it all, she still clung to hope. Every night, she turned her heart to the sky, praying for ease, for mercy, for an end to this endless ache. Aria had seen real friendship once, back in Saudi Arabia. A time when loyalty wasn't a word but a feeling, something she could hold onto. But tragedy stole those days away. Almost everyone she cherished was gone. Only she and Amina remained, two souls tethered by loss. Here in India, she was surrounded by a different kind of people, self-absorbed, judgmental, obsessed with textbooks they barely understood. They glorified knowledge yet lacked wisdom. They measured worth in grades, never in kindness. They spoke of intelligence yet failed to see the brilliance in the girl sitting silently beside them. Aria isn't just a name. She is a story, a storm, a survivor. She is me. This is my truth. And so, I pray,